Hello, everyone. Thank you for carving out an hour of your time tonight. We will get started on our presentation. Um, my name is Angela. I'm an early ed mentor teacher from Culver City Unified School District. And our presentation is I'm a teacher now, what I do with these families, building strong homeschool communications. I'll present you my co-presenter here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. It is towards the end of the day, so I hope you are just as excited as Angela and I to participate and learn from this interactive training that we have shared for you and prepared for you for Teach for LA in collaboration of the CPTP. Welcome. So here, let me get my slides going on. All right, so welcome everybody. As people are coming on, I encourage you to try to change your profile name. Okay, you can include your age, your grade if you're teaching a certain grade, an age group, and then also an adjective to describe how you feel about this training. Maybe if you've had a long day, you might be a little bit tired, or maybe you're excited. So the example I have here is I will be eager, Valerie. And I used to work with preschoolers, 3 years old. And you can do all this by clicking on participants. Okay, and then finding your name. And then you want to hover over your name and a pop-up box will show up. And then you can rename yourself. I want to make sure in the settings that we are allowing our participants to rename themselves. Let's double check. Okay. All right, so I am eager, Valerie. I'm going to put presenter just in case I get lost in the mix here. And preschool 3-year-olds. Okay. So if you want to do that, that would be great, just for us to get to know our audience. And then in the chat, if you want to share, if you are a student or you're working in a classroom, please include your school, the school that you're attending, if that applies, or maybe your work site, if you're a teacher assistant, if you're a lead teacher, right? And then maybe how long you have been in the field, all right? So Angela, if you want to model that on the chat, right, that would be great. Arindira, welcome. Okay. Great to have you. Stephanie Cervantes. So this is a very information-packed training. So we're going to have to move quickly. I really anticipate we should have a part 2, Angela, on this. Okay. All right. Okay. So for those who are just entering, okay, if you can just put any of this, participate in any of this, what you have in the chat would be awesome. All right, we have Rio Hondo. Welcome. Is that City? Okay. Teaching adults at Stanbridge University. Awesome. Is that Diatra? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? All right, excited Arindira. Curious Jamie, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. All right. I want to shout out to any AAPI out in our audience. It is Asian Pacific Islander Month. So welcome. Great to have you all. I'm representing my little flower here. Right? I am from Guam. All right, so let's move on. All right, on our agenda, we have our welcome, our introductions. Next, we have learning outcomes. We're going to talk about the who, the why, the what, when, where, and how of family engagement. Okay. The bulk of our training is going to be on strategies to build rapport and engage families. Okay. We're hoping to have time set aside for question and answers, and then we have providing some resources. I'm going to go back to our original screen. I forgot to mention. Hold on. There we go. On our first screen, we have a QR code. If you want to take a picture of that, that will take you to our slides. Okay. So you have a copy of your slides. You can email that to yourself, okay, from your phone. All right, I'll hold that on for a couple of seconds. Okay. Welcome, Ingrid. Welcome, Shaima. Happy Ingrid, awesome. Tulsa Elementary. Okay. Cindy entering. Okay. I hope you were all able to scan that. If not, towards the end and you want to scan that, we can always go back. All right. Okay. So thank you all for being here, right? Our participants will be empowered with knowledge, tools, and strategies, resources to build effective homeschool partnerships. Okay, so I do have a disclaimer. This training is targeted for college students or novice teachers who are in the field. Okay, so what we have in place are experiences and things that Angela and I have done and implemented in the about 55 years total of teaching together, not together, but in our experiences. Okay, so what we have prepared in our presentation, do what works for you. Okay, so this is a journey. If you're getting into teaching, you're looking into getting into teaching, you've been teaching for a while, some will work, some strategies will work for you, some may not, but you don't want to give up. Working and building partnerships with your families is a lifelong journey, right? It's something you never master. Can you agree, Angela?
Absolutely.
Yes. So you're always learning something, opportunity to grow. What works one year might not work another year. Okay.
And what works for one parent does not work for another.
Yes, absolutely.
Family.
All right. So next slide. Okay. So I wanted to start up with a quick workshop warm up. Okay. So Angela, do you want to go ahead and choose somebody to answer our question?
Let's have Cindy Serrano.
Cindy Serrano. Oh, okay. Hold on. What's happening to my screen here? Okay. Cindy Serrano, we have a We'll Decide workshop. So I'm going to click the button. A question is going to pop up. And then if you can kindly share out loud. Okay, so you can unmute yourself. All right. So what are you most excited about working with parents and families?
Hi. So I would say getting to know them, just building that connection initially, and then obviously just getting to know more of what their background is and what their experiences are. And so obviously that'll inform my work. The more I know, the more informed I am about their home life and their backgrounds and their experiences. That'll help me in the long run, I know. So just building that rapport with them, getting a nice connection with them is going to help in the long run.
Awesome, Cindy. I hear a lot of great words from you. I heard the word rapport. I heard the word connection. So important to learn about your families. what their backgrounds are and what their experiences are. And most definitely, it is going to inform your practice. So for those who are not aware of how you make connections, the best way to make connections is really know where your families are coming from. All right. Next person.
Do one more for
Sure.
interest of time.
Okay.
I was thinking Curious Jamie.
All right. Curious Jamie, what do you want to gain out from this workshop?
I want to be better able to communicate with families in regards to maybe if their child is struggling, to be able to better explain what they could be doing at home to help the child, and to bring up like subjects that might be kind of sensitive, like if they're struggling with a disability or if there's like a financial problem, and being able to like approach some of the sensitive subjects with a certain I guess kind of understanding.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So actually the highlight of our training is all about communication. So talking to families about those difficult conversations, it can be about behavior, it can be about special needs and maybe an intervention around the corner or on the horizon. That is definitely something we want to learn more about. Okay. All right. I want to make sure I'm back on my screen. Is that correct, Angela? We can get
Yes.
started. Okay. All right. So take it away.
Hello, everybody. Family engagement is defined by Grant and Ray 2019 as a mutually collaborative working relationship with the family that serves the best interest of the child, both in the school and the home setting, for the primary purpose of increasing student success. So who, what, who, why, what, when, where, how is family engagement. Who do you engage? All families. And it's important to note that the definition of family will vary from within that student's household. Why is it so important? Because strong partnerships will ultimately help the child and that would be student success. What does it entail? And it's all about communication, just like Valerie mentioned prior. It's constant communication. So when is it a good time to begin family engagement? Establish communication from the beginning of the school year with the new families. Review with returning families and immediately when a new child student enrolls. This is critical because I know, at least in my program this year, they've been trickling in little by little. So we do an immediate parent communication in the form of a parent orientation. Also, another good time, once you establish that initial relationship, daily verbal communications, interactions upon arrival or departure. Where can you have this family engagement? At school, outside of school, such as events, could be potlucks, could be information nights, and virtual Zoom. It all depends on what your program is allowing you to do. I know there's still some programs that they're limiting parents coming in on campus. You can do a Zoom one too. And how we will provide you with a variety of simple, proven strategies that both Valerie and I have used over the years.
Yes. If I can add just real quick, Angela. So outside of school is something you want to double check with your program or your district. But I actually was able to do a parent engagement activity and we went to a Dodgers game. How fun is that? All right. Okay, so in order for us to really understand and be motivated to engage our families, I just wanted to share this slide, and it's in our resources, about why is it important, okay? I'm not going to read through all of this, right, and to honor our time, but ultimately research shows that when parents are engaged and families are engaged, students achieve more, regardless of socioeconomic status, ethnic, racial backgrounds, or even the parents' education level. All right. The other one also too, I want to highlight is that students in which families are involved have fewer behavior problems, right? Students' behaviors such as alcohol use, violence, and antisocial behavior decrease as parent involvement increases. Of course, granted, we are more geared in this training about early childhood, right? Preschool, I hope there's no preschoolers, kindergarten out there who are having alcohol use. But ultimately, when we build the foundation and provide family engagement when the child is younger, then all of these, what we see here on this slide, will be either supported or prevented, right? When there is family engagements, parents have the opportunity to build a home environment that encourages learning. Okay, so we will show that in our newsletters and how we make those homeschool partnerships. So what happens in the school connects into their home. Okay, so children from diverse cultural backgrounds, right, perform better when parents and professionals collaborate, right? So that is the families. And when we say professionals, it could be the teachers, it could be maybe part of their IEP team. Instructional assistants are oftentimes overlooked, and they are so important in the classroom. And then finally, family engagement benefits children, parents, teachers, schools, and ultimately the community.
Strategies for building rapport and engagement. So we decided that 7 ideas and events that we do. So the first one would be initial enrollment and beginning of the school year. Daily informal chats, use of technology, newsletters, coffee/tea with parents or guardians, parent education seminars, and special events. For the first one, for the initial enrollment, home visits. Some programs, part of their structure is to provide home visits to the homes of the new children. That is a great way to establish a relationship with the family, the new student. It all depends on your program. Another one is parent orientation back to school night, which can be in person or virtual. Prepare a packet to distribute with contact information, such as the classroom phone number and email, so the parents are able to contact you. And sample engagement opportunities that I provide for the families upon the initial contact, which my program is parent orientations back to school night. I provide some surveys and questionnaires, such as a family survey, all about me, my name, a questionnaire regarding the student, a holiday questionnaire. And also it's important that you set boundaries and office hours, because if you set a precedent of answering an email at 9 p.m. at night, because you dedicated, you want the parent to wait that long, most likely they will be expecting in the future that you answer whenever the email pops into your email. You want to add anything to Valerie?
No, I think that's all great. We were going to actually give examples of what a parent survey looks like here. Okay.
Okay, so this is one of the surveys that I do. This is an example of a holiday traditions and celebrations questionnaire that I send out to the parents. And basically I have a high population of Spanish speaking parents, so I try to write mine in Spanish and English. But simple questions: do you celebrate holidays? There's some families who don't. Which of the following holidays do you celebrate? You kind of throw anything out there, and then other or anything else. How do you celebrate the above circle holidays? Activities, foods, anything else you do. Which of the following values, emotions, or character building traits do you believe are evoked during the holiday season? And anything else you want to add? And do you want us to share, celebrate, explore holidays in the classroom, COVID compliant to the extent that we can do to COVID-19? So to me, it has worked. So I know exactly what I can do in the classroom so that is inclusive. So this is just one example of what I do.
Yeah, I really love this survey because it helps inform. So ultimately, if we're going to have a inclusive classroom with regards to celebrating and acknowledging what's important and value to the families, this survey does an amazing work for the teacher, especially as you prepare for the school year. Okay. So, and then also too gives you that feedback. Maybe I know I believe it's Vietnam, where they have the water celebration. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but that's a big celebration that they have. And it's something fun that you can actually implement with your children.
This is another survey that I do at the beginning of the year. It's called a family survey. And my name is, I was born in, my parents or siblings' names are, my parents were born in, was born, we speak, our favorite food, we like to listen to, and we like to. So this is an activity the parent does with their child. And obviously the parent fills it out and then include a picture. Ultimately, all the children share it during the first week or so, or when the child enrolls for about a week, we have it up. And then we start building and creating class books. So we keep it in a binder with a plastic sheet covered over it. We put it in the binder and then we have it in our library area. So it's there all year round. Because children like to look at their pictures. I don't have a lot of space. I don't have a lot of wall space. So this helps a lot when they want to go into the book area, they start looking at the pictures and they start talking about each other's families. And it's very engaging. The other one is my name. I started doing this one about 3-4 years ago. My first name is, it's pronounced like this. I prefer being called, or my nickname is. The significance of my name is, my blank chose my name. I was or was not named after someone. My name has blank syllables. And same thing, it's about respect, about being inclusive in your classroom. And the children, you know, they learn about syllables and clapping out and counting and the same that. But the same thing, we put it in the book and we talk about names and they start recognizing names. You can do so many things with that. But it basically comes down, this is how you want to be pronounce it. Do you want to add anything, Valerie?
Yeah, I think there's not anything more welcoming to families is when the teacher can pronounce your name correctly, right? So nobody likes to get their name butchered. So for me personally, when I see and hear that people, I have two young, and they're older now, my sons, when they pronounce it correctly, it really conveys the message that my school, my teacher cares about my child, my teacher cares about my family.
Another way to establish a good rapport is daily informal chats upon arrival. After you do the mandatory health check, something can happen like, good morning, how's everyone today? You allow the parents to respond. If they say everything's well, okay, great. If they say, oh, had a rough night, or anything, or if they didn't listen to you, you can add, is there anything you want us to know? Because sometimes a child, if they didn't sleep well the night before, it could be for whatever reason. There's a lot of things going on. It will affect how the day goes. And it's good for you to know, and the parents know that, okay, this teacher cares enough to know if my child's it's gonna be an okay day or not. And it's a mutual respect. Same thing as the departure. Share a detail about the child's day. Begin with a positive, and that is so important because, for a lack of way of saying it, it kind of cushions the blow. Somebody had asked about, you know, the tender topics that we talk about, but if you're focused on the positive, on the strengths rather than the negatives, your conversations and the trust will be so much stronger. So, there are parents who will ask, how did the day go? So then answer the question, but base your answers, your responses in objective observations rather than subjective observations. Like, for example, your child, Tommy was sad today. Doesn't make as much as says, Tommy cried when he tripped and fell. And we cleaned him up. We offered a Band-Aid. He said no, but he took the ice pack. So those are more of objective observations rather than subjective observations. You want to add anything else, Valerie?
Yeah, so the arrival and departure conversations are really important. And off the bat, it can be very daunting and overwhelming. Like, wow, you expect me to talk to my families every day? It's good practice. It's hard. Some days might be easier than others. And if you have a co-teacher, even a instructional assistant, like you can't do that arrival for whatever reason, have them do it, right? And you just make sure you're all on the same page. And same thing with departure. My suggestion is, as you get to know your families and their experiences, right? Like what was shared earlier in our game, we have, if a parent is like very particular about a child being clean, right? And they put on the apron or whatever it is, their clothes still got dirty. You want to, be proactive and at departure say, look, we put on the apron, we pulled their sleeves up, we did the best that we can. We know that you don't want your child to get dirty, but this is what happened, right? So when you are proactive, you have those informal chats, it will actually be very helpful in preventing any confrontations or any upset parents or, getting any negative emails in your inbox at the end of the day. All right, so we have a quick video here. I love this particular video, and it's a parent reflecting on building relationships with the teachers.
Well, immediately after the home visit, I was then invited to a back to school night they were having in Stanton. They gave me the little flyer. I was like, well, we're having a back to school night. It's from this time and this time. Bring the kids, like a meet and greet the teachers and everyone that was going to be there. But one thing I can say about, Stanton period is that it is constant communication, something I never had, something I completely enjoy. And it's not just negative communication, it's constant positive communication. I can be here at home, at work, anywhere, and one of my teachers would send me a text. Or I used to love it, Miss Lucas would send pictures. Take pictures of them doing classwork, and she said, see, look how my Tanae, well, I call her Bird. The school calls her Bird, which I love because it's like a community. They adopted her nickname. So she would send me a text like, look at Bird, she's having a wonderful day today, and she's doing good. But in saying that allowed me to hear, I put a trust in Miss Lucas for doing that. So no matter what she said, how she had to say it, what the information is, it made it easier for me to receive it from her. Because she had built this communication, this trust that I never had. So I tell people now friendship. You know what I'm saying? We're not friends to talk every single day, but she's a person that I will always hold in a high regard. She will always have my respect. I really respect Miss Lucas, and I value her so much because not just her, but all the teachers, but like she was the first one to really extend herself to me. And I would get the text, and then one day Tanae had a bad day, and she called me, and I was expecting to hear something good. Oh, she got good on her test, so she did read. And she was like, well, we had a bit of an issue today. I'm like, for real? What happened? Well, Tanae did X, Y, and Z. And I didn't get defensive. I didn't get, well, what do you do? Or what did I actually sat back and I listened and I received the information, and I processed the information. For me, that was something different because at that point in time, I felt it like, why am I getting mad? Because normally when you call me on the phone and you telling me something about my child did this, I'm naturally on the defense like, well, what did you do to make my child do this? Or who was messing with her in class because my baby's a good baby? But in this time it was different. And I don't know, it's because of the positive, feedback she gives me every day, the friendship we bought. It just made, when she was telling me what was going on, I took a breath, I stopped and I listened. And then I was like, we actually got to a place where we worked together. I said, well, you know what, since she's having a bad day, can you put her on the phone? And I spoke with her on the phone and I let her know that me and Miss Lucas are working together. We are a team, and if she asks you to do something, you need to treat it as if mommy is asking you to do something. So if she asks you to sit down, you need to sit down. And there was no more problems with Tanae.
All right, I want to pause here for a little bit. And anyone want to share maybe some comments or some thoughts on the video? And for those who want to share on the chat, you're more than welcome to. Any volunteers? Maybe any keywords that stood out to you with regard to family engagement or even communication? Nothing? Did you like the video? Maybe anybody here practice calling for positive sharing, right? So in the video, she talks
So
about
thought it was super helpful to hear from the parent and get their point of view. Love the video.
I thought it was wonderful to hear from a parent. Being a parent myself, that was really nice to hear that side and know that, there's that, engagement does help. It gives you a different perspective. It gives you both sides. So it gives me a different way to look at things when, as a parent engaging with the teacher and as a potential instructor engaging. It helps me see both sides and stop and think about how I'm going to approach from, moving forward.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, another comment. I thought it was important that the parent consider both her and the teacher as a team. And one more is because of the relationship the teacher and the mom had both were able to help the child, and mom had teachers back when she spoke to her child and the child understood. It is reassuring. Another comment is it's reassuring to know that communicating with them positively does work and does matter.
Yes, so a lot of effort comes in the beginning, right? You want to do a lot of positive, that constant keyword. You can communicate, but if it's not constant and it's not positive, then your family engagement efforts are not going to be as positive as the effort that you put in. Okay, so you kind of get back what you put in. Okay, all right. So
the next one would be the use of technology. I'll be the first one to say, when I hear technology, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to retrain my brain. So, but we put the best ways for communication. The first one, classic, the phone call. Call the parent to share valuable information. Say you leave at 3 o'clock, the child doesn't get picked up till 5. So you want to make sure if the child scratched the knee or something or bumped their head and there's a little bruise there, you want to let them know that happened. So they're not shocked when they see their child. Email when needed, create a class email for email blasts. If your program has it, a web page, upload your newsletters and handouts to the web page, upload photos. Make sure that you have a media photo release kind of waiver in the child's file, just to make sure you cover yourself. And professional teacher-friendly apps. Back in 2017, I had a group of tech-savvy parents that year, and they were begging me for me to have a type of app for quick communication. So I did my research, and I've been using the Remind app, which is lets you send quick texts to family, announcements, or individual. It your phone number remains private, and it lets you set office hours. And I love it because it's quick, it's fast. You can send quick photos too. Other options out there are Class Dojo, Google Classroom, Bloom's, Class Tag. Accepting invites to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, etc., are highly discouraged. Stick to the professional, quote unquote, educator apps. I value my privacy. I don't want to answer a text or an email at 9 o'clock at night. That is my time. And when you say that and you present that at the beginning of the school year, I can guarantee you the parents are really, really okay with it. And I said, and I tell them, you can send me one at 9 o'clock, but I'm not going to look at it until 7 o'clock in the morning. But they know. I haven't had a problem using these apps or setting my boundaries with the parents. Anything you want to add, Valerie?
Yeah, so Angela and I are quite different in certain aspects. So for one thing, if you're going to get an app, it's going to go on your cell phone. So unless you have a work cell phone in which you can use the app, then that would be okay with me. In my job, it was my personal cell phone. So I am not an appy person. Otherwise, I'm at home. Those apps, I don't have to look at the notifications, but at the same time, my phone is my own personal space. And I really try to separate my personal life from my professional life. So that's something to consider. If you say no to an app from a parent, it doesn't mean like you're a less worthy educator. You're just setting your boundaries, and that's really healthy. Okay. And then also, accepting those social media specific to your personal life, as Angela said, is very highly discouraged. I think we can make a whole training on horror stories.
Yes.
About that. Okay. So if you decide, if that's your nature, you want to take the risk and jump it, that's up to you. But I do forewarn you that if you're going to accept one Facebook message or Instagram as a personal, like, wow, I think they're going to really be my lifelong friends, then another parent's going to find out that you accepted that and declined theirs. So there's going to be some animosity that I promise you will not be friendly. So how do I, me personally, how do I approach that? My rule is if I decide to be a friend and I tell my parents that, who I feel like I am going to be lifelong friends with them, it's like, look, I don't do this while I'm your teacher. So as soon as your child graduates and moves on, then now I can give you time, into my personal space, and they're okay with that.
Yeah, that's the way I present it too, that while your child is in my classroom, we will not accept any invites. And like Valerie said, I can tell you horror stories of staff who did not listen to me and, had consequences to that. But I let them know up in orientation. So they're good with that.
All right. Okay. So newsletters are a great place to put a lot of your information, what's going on in your classroom, but also what's going on in your program. Again, do what works for you. Okay, so when you do your newsletter, you definitely want to be consistent. You can decide, unless your administrator, your supervisor decides when you're going to put out your newsletter. You can do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. For me, my family's informed every year how often I would put it out. Make sure you include your contact information if your web page is available, your email, classroom phone number. And then for those who adhere to the California Preschool Learning Foundations or do DRGP, that is a great place to also put what you're doing in your projects or your activities, your lessons. In your newsletter, you may include any themes that you have. You can give an overview of what you're doing ahead, and maybe in the next month, in the next week, or what you did previously. All right. It's a great place to include vocabulary, concepts, upcoming events and reminders, any birthdays, right? Or just be wary of those who don't want their birthday shared, or if they even celebrate their birthdays. And any other relevant information specific to your program or even your community. So I really had a very big community approach. So for example, there was a nearby Greek festival at a local church in one of my schools previously. And I put that in there also because it was one of my family's church, and it's a big thing for the whole community. That was a big event for the whole community. And then in your newsletter, you can also include supporting handouts, either like through links or actually attach it to your newsletters. So just make sure these handouts and information that you're giving to the families are from reputable sites, right? They're actually factual. And then more importantly, they are developmentally appropriate. So Angela and I have some slides here. I'm going to show you some sample newsletters. Okay, so this is something I had put together back in, I think this was like 2017. So as you can see, this was in September. I used the MS Publisher, right, file to help me create this. So it's on Microsoft Office. So this is the beginning of the school year. So again, I let the families know what we're doing. Friendly reminders as they begin the school year, those extra clothes, right, emergency kit. Aside from our newsletter, I also gave them a calendar. So I'm looking for parent volunteers. I let them know what we were doing as far as cultural celebrations for the upcoming month. I always emphasize attendance. I was at a preschool, state preschool, so attendance is imperative and important. I talked about our parent advisory council. And then I have our calendar that they sent out, but then also in our newsletter, I highlight any special dates of things happening for the month of September. And then I have our contact information. Okay, I don't have the phone number here. I prefer email. Okay, and then this is a glimpse of Angela's newsletter. Okay, Angela, if you want to briefly share what you have here.
It's a glimpse because we had to, it was so long that it was, I think, 3 pages long. So we had to kind of condense it. But in the newsletter, I do an overview, the contact information. I have a webpage, so we put the webpage there, the classroom number, phone number there. And this is the, this was a bi-monthly one. This was March, April, and we were focusing on process art. So we have vocabulary there. I cited where I got some of the vocabulary that I didn't put in my own words, concepts also, the homeschool connection, the skill that we want to focus on. I cited, included links there from NAYC and Going Green as a Family, some other NAYC sites that I included in there, kind of tied in all together.
All right, so any comments you can throw in the chat regarding the newsletters, or even questions you can have. I just want to highlight, especially for those who are still in college or still in school, you can see here just by Angela's example, the importance of writing, right? So for those who don't like to write, if you're going to have a solid newsletter, your grammar skills and your writing skills need to be up to par, right? Make sure you are exceeding college level writing, okay? So that's very important. All right, let's go see on the chat. All right, yeah, great question, Ellie. Can the newsletter be in Spanish and English? Definitely. It does take a lot to get it translated. So if you have someone who can translate it for you, absolutely. If you can even add, if you're working with family, Chinese family, get it translated, Arabic family, whatever it is, to connect to your families is really important, okay? And you don't have to have the whole newsletter translated. Maybe you can just do a section that's translated. at least you know that you're reaching out to those families and you're validating their language. Okay. Funny story. I tried to use Google Translate for Spanish and I actually stopped because Google Translate for Spanish is not appropriate.
Mhm.
And I got laughed at and ridiculed by my staff. So I said, okay, if you're going to laugh at me, then you need to translate it. And they stopped laughing. So they're like, okay, let's just put it in English. So I tried. And even my parents were laughing at me. So I thought that was funny to share. All right. Any other comments on the newsletter or even questions? Again, make it your own. Okay, make it your own. So this was back, for me, if I was still in the classroom, I'll probably include QR codes, right? QR codes either to connections to links, connections maybe to my lesson plan, right? So the parents can get a hold of that.
Another way to establish rapport is have coffee and tea with the teacher. Implement as your time and resources permit. So whenever you are available, that's probably the best time. And the time that you do, mine tend to be between 30 to an hour, no more than an hour. Earlier in the year, the longer as the year progresses, it's about 30 minutes, but you can use this time to discuss and review your newsletter, the curriculum, a targeted focus or daily routines that you're working on in the classroom, review your health and program policies, recruit volunteers, inform the parents of upcoming events, any donations that are needed. Parents are always asking, and also for socialization among the parents and the teacher. Anything else, Valerie?
Yeah, so this is really important. You don't expect families to attend, right? Because some of them cannot either if you're doing in the morning or the, later on lunchtime or drop off, wherever you have it, just be mindful that not everybody will be present. And then also too, again, make it your own. For me, when I did my coffee with the teacher, it was all about socialization. When I had parents want to talk to me about like, oh, I want to know how my child is doing. And I was like, nope, this is not the time. We can talk about that during the parent conference. Okay. And then use your parent volunteers, your parent advisory council, either to help get donations for the coffee and tea. Okay. Because it can get costly. And we know that budgeting is a huge aspect behind teaching. All right, so family engagement seminars are very helpful, okay? The parents will appreciate it even if you don't get any positive, any feedback. So what I have here is a sample parent training survey. So popular topics for family education seminars that I've done are transitioning to kindergarten, how children learn, right? So, and the importance of play, so they understand what exactly are you doing, right? So why are they playing all day? All of these parent education seminar will help inform the parents so they know what you're doing in the classroom. And at the same time, whatever they need at home and what other challenges is, you can design and create your own family engagement seminar, right? So if you can see on my survey, I asked them to write their name if they want to do healthy sleeping, picky eating, how to play with your child, or promoting literacy. Oops, hold on, ahead. Going back, or ahead. Okay, all right. All right, so special events, right? Again, thinking of your program, your community, special events can be shows, exhibits, or concerts. Maybe you're going to have a parent day or a family day, any holidays or celebrations, which is informed by your family questionnaire. If your school or your site does a beautification day, that can be a special event in which you can engage your families, or even at the end of the year, if you have something promotional. Right, so some things that when I think about, maybe you have a winter concert, right? I actually had a celebration of Nowruz. I had quite a few handful of Persian families, and that is the spring celebration. If you're from Iran or Afghanistan, and that was so fun. Okay, so I had a Dia de los Muertos Family Art Day, which collaborated, right, with my families, my Mexican families who celebrate Dia de los Muertos, and Halloween. Okay, so the children can wear their favorite costume. And I encourage the parents too. Right. I wish I could share pictures with you, but I had parents come in with their moms come in, painted their faces like Catalina, and then the dads came in with their little charro hat with their face painted, and other children who don't celebrate Dia de los Muertos came in their favorite costume. The other flyer that I have here on the side is I had a STEAM gallery. And if you can see here on the details, the children worked on a literacy extension regarding the 3 little pigs. They had to build a home. Okay, and then we were studying Van Gogh, The Starry Night, and it focused on technique and various elements of art. Okay, so that was very engaging, and that was at the adult school. So all the ESL classes actually came and watched the gallery, and they absolutely loved it. All right. So I have parent cafes, another form of parent, almost like an education seminar, but it's parents informing parents. And I sent home follow-up notes that what was learned and what was shared. So the topic was understanding challenging behavior in young children. And then for those parents who were not present, they could get a glimpse of what we discussed. And then those who were present, a reminder of what was discussed and what they can put into practice. And then finally, here on the side, I'm very proud of this activity. Again, I was informed by my families this particular year, I had a lot of single moms. So during Father's Day, I had a bingo night. It was like a letter bingo night, getting together and some snacks. And then, it's a very a very delicate topic for single parents, for single moms. So I went ahead and I did a Mommies Do It Best bingo night, and it was a private and exclusive bingo night. Okay. And the reason why I did this is because we had a Mother's Day event. So those moms had their own celebration, which these parents were invited to. But at the same time, I wanted them to also attend our little Mommy Does It Best version of our Father's Day bingo night. Okay.
Just wanted to add that I've done art shows. I've done the World of Eric Carly galleries, exhibits, STEAM show. It all depends on what your topic is and what you want to do. I've done what do you call that? Origami. We did origami once with the children 1 year, and we did our origami show too. So you can be as creative as you want it. So we want to leave you with a couple of final thoughts, which is working with families is a professional relationship, not a friendship. At the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is the positive involvement of parents, by Jane D. Hall. It's really important to make sure that the lines are not blurred.
Definitely. So you don't have to be your family's or your parents' friends. You do have to respect them. Okay. So if you see that they're crossing the line, like they want to be more than just their teacher, you have to be able to learn how to set those boundaries in a kind and respectful way. And what's really important is how you communicate that. And then also you are consistent across the board. Okay.
So thank you so much. In short, when families are engaged in learning at home and school, children do better and schools get better. And just as you scroll down the PowerPoint, before we answer any questions, we've included a list of resources, a mini bios of ourselves, and a reflection question. You want to go to that one before we open up for any questions, Valerie? Basically, 1 or 2 things you want to write down in the chat about reflecting on this training that you might want to apply or implement that are new, one thing that you will do. You can just share it in the chat. So while you're doing that, we can open up for any questions. So there's a question that came in that is, what do we do when, for example, the children have an activity carding Christmas, but another child does not celebrate Christmas? How do we make it inclusive? I can tell you that I honestly tell you, I've been doing this for such a long time, and each year I always find something that I need to target or address. So I start putting Post-its up and I kind of write it. So I put it for the next parent orientation. But to answer that one, because I've been doing this a long, right at the parent orientation, whether it's an individual or in a group, we address that. Say, can you please fill out this holiday survey for us? This, because we want to know what we can do. And if there's a family that comes out, we don't celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Hanukkah, I personally go and approach the parent and I say, oh, would you be willing, are you open to your child participating in activities? Or can you inform us about Hanukkah? I remember one year we had a Jewish family, and it's not often that I do, but this family came in and made potato latkes with us. And, at their developmental level, I spoke with the parents and I told them, this is all you have to tell the children and everything. This is what you do. And now you're going to cook something that's related to the holidays. So I think if you focus on the common theme of celebrations, for me, it's food, it's music, it's family getting together. It's inclusive, but the children need to learn that some families celebrate certain things in one way, some another way, and some others celebrate other things. But we can learn from each other. And I think that's important. It's a key thing, is to say we can learn from each other.
Yes. So if I can add, I actually put that in my our orientation regarding celebrations, and I encourage and I open it for all families to share their ideas, right, on what their celebrations are and what are their limitations, right? So kind of like we have little food restrictions. Religion is very sensitive to different families, and some will participate and some will not. And if they choose not to, you want to respect that. But at the same time, you want to set that up at the beginning of the classroom on how you approach it. So if you're going to say that you're very inclusive, you really have to hold true to that, okay? You have to make sure everyone is represented some way, somehow in the environment, right? In your lessons and your activities, in your conversation, and you're in communication with your families. As long as that is set up, then you will not have any issues with families feeling excluded, right? Okay, so on the chat, we have the holiday survey, seems to be really popular. Okay, maintain a professional teacher-parent relationship, very, very important. It can be hard because some families and parents can be very pushy, right? And to be honest, we're all human. We're going to connect with some families more than others, but just make sure that you keep those boundaries. And you might, if you're new, if you're starting off, you're going to make a mistake, right? So we're sharing this to you so you don't make that mistake, but making those mistakes and trusting when you, oh my goodness, I was bad on this, my bad, I trusted too much, then you live and you learn. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. This is us. We have our LinkedIn, okay, our email. If you have any follow-up questions or comments, I am open to you to email me, and I will try to follow up as much as possible. I wanted to share templates to my work, but I couldn't find the file, the publisher that I used. So, and you can make it on your own, but if you have specific questions to templates rather than making your own, but there's a lot of technology out there past what we've presented. Okay. And then finally, at the end, these are the resources. Okay. And here are the links. I included the video if you want to watch the video again, and then the definition and a lot of information. I teach CDEV 104 homeschool community at El Camino College. It's actually my favorite course to teach, and that's why I'm here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to our first screen because I know some of you wanted the QR code. So let me pull that up again. Otherwise, thank you all for being here, right? Wonderful experience, and I wish you all the best. Yes, Heidi, thank you so much for being here. I hope you learned more. Okay, all right, thank you, Brisa, for sharing.